sunset, but all I can see is your face, and I get lost in it. Your eyes, they take me back again into you. It tastes like somewhere, 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 somewhere.
Okay guys, there is 44 grams of protein in my breakfast. I already tried the eggs. The eggs were so good today. I just put a little bit of Himalayan salt. No, it's not Himalayan salt. It's not Celtic salt. It's the other salt. Iodized. Some lemon pepper. And I sprayed it with I can't believe it's not butter. And some tapatio. And hitting the spot the way it does every morning. Yummy. If you haven't tried your weenie in the microwave, you're missing out. I only put 12 grams of this protein granola and it's 50 calories. I just wanted a little bit of granola, that's it. I need to take my allergy medicine. I just finished the book of Genesis. There's 50 chapters. A lot going on here. Jacob and Esau, that's a good one. But the section that I wanted to focus on is on Joseph. Joseph eventually has a dream from God, and in that dream, he sees his brothers bowing down to him, even his own father and mother. In his naivety, he goes to his siblings and he's like, one day you guys are going to bow down to me, and they were very angry at that. And they were like, how are we going to bow down to our youngest sibling? That's just not going to happen. They devised a plan to kill him. One of his brothers, I think it was Reuben, stood up for him and was like, look, let's not kill him. Let's just sell him to these people as a slave, and let's get rid of him, and then we'll bring back his cloak in blood. We'll put animal blood on it, and we'll tell our father that he died by an animal. That was the plan they went with. They went to their father. The father was so sad and mourning his son. And so Joseph goes through this journey with God of like ups and downs. And he even ends up in prison. Eventually, they end up bowing down to him, just like his dream. His father ends up seeing that he's still alive. His father bows down to him, just like his dream. Everything he dreamt ended up coming true. And the reason why this book stood out to me so much for myself is because I know that like in my younger years, I had a lot of unforgiveness in my heart. I experienced a great deal of pain at the hands of people that were supposed to love and protect me. And I had no choice but to be in those environments because I didn't have a home. So I was essentially trapped in a lot of different situations with people that just did a great deal of harm to me. And for a lot of my younger years, when I eventually got out of those situations, everything was still so fresh and so raw. More than anything, I just had a lot of unforgiveness. I wanted more than anything to forgive. Right? And I think a lot of times we think that through forgiveness, we have to go and be around these people to prove that we've forgiven them. We have to make things work. We have to forgive them and forget and just be in close proximity and allow them to keep treating us the way that they've treated us, right? But forgiveness does not always mean reconciliation. A lot of times when people are struggling with unforgiveness, I feel like it's because there's still a spirit of that similar experience they're trying to forgive. There's still that spirit dwelling in their midst. Whether it's the manifestation within that individual based off of that experience. For example, let's say that someone was severely abused as a child, right? And now in their life, they're abusing people. That's where it's going to be almost impossible to forgive what was done to you as a child, because now you're acting within that same frequency of the abuse that was done to you. In times of forgiveness, I truly believe that true forgiveness only comes through Jesus. And it's because once you get to know Jesus and once you fall in love with him and once you guys are like best friends, and he truly teaches you what love is, and you're able to be in that energy of love and laughter and happiness and joy and just fulfillment. Like, you can't help but forgive, because it's like, I have so much and more to be so grateful for and so happy for. Like, I can't even be mad at these people, because you know that if somebody did you so dirty and did so much harm to you, you know it's because that first exists in them. They haven't been able to break the cycle. Maybe they don't believe in God. Maybe they don't believe in forgiveness. And so they're repeating the cycles of things that were done to them, and they do them to you to feel either better about themselves, or to feel like, wow, I got my vengeance, I got my revenge, even if it wasn't to the person that did it to me ultimately. By doing it to this other person that has nothing to do with that, I got my lick back. That's what they call it these days, I guess. I got my revenge. Can't imagine for those people to stay in that frequency, because it's like, I know they're suffering, I know they're hurting, I know they're living in misery, I know they're living in hell in their minds. And that's not the life that God calls us to. That's not the life that God intended for us. And that's not what God wants for us, right? Even through Joseph's forgiveness, his forgiveness didn't come in those years where he was being favored and unfavored, right? Because he had favor and then he was sent to prison. And, he went through a lot of situations that in that process, he wasn't even thinking about forgiving his family, because he was trying to survive his life. He was trying to figure out his walk. Even when his family was presented to him, even then, he wasn't forgiving them. He was kind of playing a game, and God was still on his side. He wasn't harming them and doing to them what they did to him, but there was still a process that he and his siblings had to go through in order for the prophecies to be fulfilled. We know that Joseph loved his family so much, and it hurt him what they did to him, but ultimately, because of his love for them and because of his experience with God and his encounter with God, he couldn't help but forgive them. Eventually, he ended up taking care of them and their families and their children and the generations to come after. But through Joseph, a nation came from him, and it was going to bring forth change to his family lineage, that was going to bring forth wealth. And that came through what the enemy intended for evil. In chapter 50, it says Joseph reassures his brothers. The reason he has to reassure them is because they're afraid that he's going to turn on them because of what they did to him. They feel like maybe he hasn't fully forgiven them. And so what they do is they have their father leave Joseph instructions, and in the instructions his father says, I ask you to forgive your brothers the sins and the wrongs they committed in treating you so badly. Now please forgive the sins of the servants of the God of your father. When their message came to him, Joseph wept. We see Joseph crying a lot in these chapters. And then it says, his brothers then came and threw themselves down before him. We are your slaves, they said. But Joseph said to them, don't be afraid. Am I in the place of God? You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good, to accomplish what is now being done, the saving of many lives. So then don't be afraid. I will provide for you and your children. And he reassures them and spoke kindly to them. So yeah, that's my greatest takeaway from the book of Genesis. And I just love it, because I know when I was younger, when I was carrying around all of that pain, I was told by people, like, just forgive them. Like, aren't you a Christian? You're supposed to forgive these people. And it's like, yeah, it's easy for you to say. It's easy for someone that didn't directly get affected by those things to say something like that. But to have been hurt, it's kind of like cutting your hand open and somebody saying, like, can you just stop bleeding already? Just put a Band-Aid on it and stop your fussing and crying about it. And it's like, no, like, it's a process. An open wound takes time to heal, and it takes care, and it takes consideration, right? Like, you can't just do the things that you've done before, right? Like, if you're using your hands for cooking and you have a big gash on your hands, like, you're not gonna start cooking a meal as soon as you get that wound on your hand. No, like, you're gonna have to treat it first and take care of it. And right, maybe that hand is in so much pain that you're not able to use it to cook anymore, and you have your other hand and it's not the same, and you're struggling to cook meals now, but you're healing, right? And it just makes me thinking of that analogy. When you try to do it in your own strength, it's like, wow, I can't even cook meals anymore because I don't have my hand to cook with. And maybe you're eating junk food and fast food and it's affecting you, and you start to experience the negative effects of not taking care of your nutrition, right? And it's like God steps in and is like, let me be your hand. You can still make your meals. Let me help you. And God comes in and he cooks your meals, right? And you can lean on him. Forgiveness is not something that happens from one day to the next. And people should not be shaming you if you are struggling to forgive, because it's a process. And what I've gotten to understand with God is like 1 day to God is 1,000, right? 1,000 days is like 1 day to God. We see that in the scriptures. So you can stay in unforgiveness for 20, 30, 40, 50 years, but God could be working on your heart. He could be working on you through that process. Or some people are able to forgive initially so fast. And maybe it's because they don't have so many things to forgive, so many years of wounds and abuse and neglect to forgive. I find now, I feel like I can forgive things much easier, and like time goes by so much faster in the forgiveness process, just because when you start living in God's love and abundance, it's like, okay, you want to harm me? Well, God intended it for good. God intends everything that you do to me, everything you do to harm me is truly only going to give me the fuel to continue to pursue God and continue to fall in His grace, His mercy, His glory, and His abundance for my life. So like, what are you really doing? And the scriptures say that, like, do not touch my anointed and do my prophets no harm. God does not take it lightly when His children are being hurt. He steps in and He does not take vengeance lightly. And that's why it's not our place as Christians here in the world to take vengeance into our own hands and to hurt the people that have hurt us. No, because then we become like them and then we cause that pain to others, because guess what? When you're operating in that spirit, it doesn't come out just when you want it to. It's going to come out when you least want it to, when you least expect it. You lose control over those spirits because they're not yours to control. Those spirits are there to control you. So when you release it by the blood of Jesus, pray them out of you. You pray them away, as far away from you as possible. They have no foothold on you. They have no rights to you. And so you're not operating in that spirit. And eventually those spirits leave you alone because they're like, this is somebody that's just not going to play our games. And the less you play the games of the enemy, the more God can protect you, the more God can bless you, the more God can work in you and through you. Even in the midst of your mistakes, God will dust you off. He'll pick you up and He'll say, let's go. Let's keep going. You got this, my little warrior. And that's all I got to say about that. Okay, love you. I'm going to Pilates later. Half of his body's on the chair and the other half's on the couch. My little weirdo. Okay, guys, we made it. We're here. I got lost for like 2 minutes, but I'm found. I was lost, but now I'm found. Okay, let's go. I know, I'm funny. My sister tells me I'm funny all the time. I'm like, thanks. I love Pilates.
Pilates, part of what we're cueing you is not just about the mechanics of the movement, but we'll also cue you about breathing, and we'll also let you know which muscle group that you should be working on.
I'm officially a member, guys. These are the classes, and that's what we do. Pilates 101. Pilates is a system of full-body, low-impact exercises that challenges your core, abs, back, glutes, and more. With every movement, Pilates develops flexibility, coordination, and lean muscle throughout the entire body, all while eliminating nagging pain points. Our main piece of equipment is called the reformer. You can sit, kneel, stand, and lie on it to perform various Pilates exercises. It provides resistance training while supporting your body and protecting the joints. So today was just like an introduction, just introducing you to like the equipment, what you're going to be doing, stuff like that. And I got the unlimited packet. Don't ask me how much it was. This is the thing, okay? I believe in investing in myself because I am my greatest asset. I want to take care of my body for the rest of my life. And so I don't see it as like, oh, I'm spending money. I see it as I am taking care of my body and I'm investing in myself, which I will do forever. Because when I'm old and holding my grandbabies, I don't want to be like, oh, I can't, my back hurts. I want to say, you know what? This feels good. This hurts so good. That's what I want to say, okay? So that's why I did it.